Welcome back to the Space Show. It goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. The PlayStation 2 was, and still is, one of the best consoles of all time. The 6th generation of video game consoles is filled with all-time greats that still have repercussions felt to this day, mostly on the people who played them. I wasn't lucky enough to have the consoles for my entire childhood, we had to get rid of them as time went on, but I do have fond memories of playing games like Fullmetal Alchemist and the Broken Angel. I'm not sure of the quality of the game nowadays, but I liked it a lot as a kid, I tell you what. The point is that I, like many others, love the PS2. If you're wondering what my top 5 games are, it's very simple and maybe even very predictable. Kingdom Hearts 2, Final Fantasy X, Tony Hawk's Underground 2, Musashi Samurai Legend, and the subject of this video, Dark Cloud. Let's do this. Now, I understand that a neurodivergent male in his late 20s talking about a PS2 game from his childhood on YouTube is about as common as a My Melody fan being toxic online, but you're gonna have to forgive me for this one because my most viewed video is about RPG Maker. You guys already know what you're here for. The point of this video is to just talk about a game that I like a lot because the truth is that I like doing relatively niche stuff. Now, I have to get something out of the way. The title of this video is true in that Dark Cloud is probably my favorite PS2 game ever. Which, it might be counter to something you guys may know about me. Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix is my single favorite game ever made. Hell, for my birthday this year, I modded and raced the game with one of my friends to see who could beat it first. It was me, by the way.
You're at the final fight, aren't you, you fucking shit? You're a little fucking shit, you know that?
What's wrong, Dante?
But, and this is going to sound weird, I barely consider KH2FM to be a PS2 game anymore. I mean, literally, it is, but the last time I played it legally to a normal degree was on PC, on the Epic Games Store. This doesn't make it a PC game, not by a long shot, but I don't personally associate being able to play this game to being on the PS2. Hell, the only time I played the PS2 version of the game was when I first played the KH2FM randomizer. When it comes to a game that I think defines the PlayStation 2, there's two things that come to mind. Final Fantasy X, which is probably my second favorite Final Fantasy, and Dark Cloud. This video isn't about Final Fantasy. I don't think I ever could tackle any Final Fantasy game properly in my own style, but I have thought about it. Dark Cloud is this perfect storm of a game that I think only could exist back in 2001, which is when this game came out. Okay, so I actually want to talk about the developers for a minute. So, the developers of Dark Cloud are Level 5. Don't know them? Yes, you do. If I know my audience, yes, you do. In fact, I'm going to reach out to two specific members of my audience. Level 5 are the developers of every Inazuma 11 game. And also they made Dragon Quest 8 and 9. Further still, they're the people behind just about every single Professor Layton game, even the Phoenix Wright crossover on 3DS. The real kicker for me was seeing that they did all of Ni no Kuni as well. Holy shit! I love Ni no Kuni. I didn't actually get to finish the first game, but I absolutely loved what I did play. Actually, no, the real kicker was that they produced two fantastic games that I never expected to get referenced in anything I produce because it would have been out of place. So, like many people, I had a PSP, and I jailbroke the shit out of it. I had Monokemia, which I have made a video about already, I had Valkyria Chronicles 2, Final Fantasy Tactics, Phantasy Star Portable, just to name a few of the games that I played for hours on end. But there was one that's relevant to this video, made by Level 5, that being Jeanne d'Arc, a tactics RPG retelling the story of, well, Joan of Arc. I fucking love this game too, by the way. I might make a video on it if I ever get around to replaying it. But it's like, after I finished the Shuffle video and I had a talk with one of my friends, I decided to reach back into my past for something, not knowing how much I was going to discover. Speaking of discover, I went on a binge in my mid-20s buying PS2 games on PS4 to play and replay. Most notably, Wild Arms 3, Arc the Lad, Twilight of the Spirits, and Rogue Galaxy. Oh, Rogue Galaxy? You mean the fourth game developed by Level 5 right on the tail of Dragon Quest 8 and right before Jeanne d'Arc? I've been a Level 5 fan my entire fucking life, and I never knew it. Rogue Galaxy speaks to me more now more than ever because, as it turns out, and you're not going to believe this, it reminds me of Final Fantasy XII, which is like top 5 Final Fantasy for me. I haven't even touched on White Knight Chronicles, which actually takes a whole ass system from Dark Cloud, which is the real subject of this video. I didn't expect to take from Mike the Snare more than I already do with this background into who the developers became after Dark Cloud. Yeah, all of the video games that aren't Dark Cloud that I've mentioned in this video came out after it. Dark Cloud is the literal first game by Level 5, followed 2 years later by Dark Cloud 2. Though I really should say Dark Chronicle. It was only called Dark Cloud 2 in the States since it's not a direct sequel like you might imagine. Then again, I'm a Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy fan. Numbered entries being entirely different are my norm. So the plot of Dark Cloud is very simple. An entity known as the Dark Genie was revived and is wreaking havoc on the entire world. To protect everything and to give the impression that the Dark Genie is succeeding, the Fairy King whisked away part of the world into bubbles called Atla, with only the main character Toan surviving his incident. Giving Toan the Atlamilia, he is tasked with rebuilding the world from almost nothing and stopping the Dark Genie with the power of the Atlamilia. And listen, I say the plot because I'm unfortunately taking a page from Dunkey.
A lot of people confuse the plot of Mario with its story. The plot of Mario is Bowser kidnaps Princess Peach. The story is the journey you take to get to Bowser, the level design, the atmosphere, the soundtrack, the moods that the stages evoke. That is the story of a Mario game.
The plot is just stopping the Dark Genie who's trying to destroy the world. Of course, there's more to it, there's more stuff here. I'm not so vapid as to genuinely reduce the plot down to a mere summary, but there's more to the story here. I mentioned it in Victory Road, which I am going to get back to when I can muster up the ability to play another traditional Pokemon game, but I'm always fascinated by the narrative that the game itself tries to tell with the everything that isn't the plot. I've always been a champion of a game's narrative and the story, or rather plot, being different. The narrative of Pokemon Fire Red isn't defeating Team Rocket and punching Blue in the dick, the narrative is how the game itself is structured. What gyms you tackle in what order, and how you get there due to brute forcing things left over in your brain. There's nothing telling you to specifically cut down the tree in front of Vermilion City Gym to access that gym fight. Absolutely nothing. You get cut, and you can cut down any tree you have access to, including the one just east of Cerulean City. And if you remember that, the world is your cloister. It's not like narratives of games can't be all tied down to the plot, but thankfully that's not the case necessarily in Dark Cloud. It's not as if you can complete the game in nearly any order you want, of course not. I'd argue by the year 2000, we were already moving toward a more linear progression for most action RPGs. Hell, I don't know many action RPGs that let you do whatever, whenever, but that's besides the point. What I mean is that Dark Cloud's narrative, or maybe I should say story, is the everything surrounding it. To paraphrase some game reviewers from the time, Dark Cloud's individual elements aren't all that strong by themselves. Take for example, combat. Combat isn't the most fleshed out thing by itself. Hell, in the Japanese version of the game, Toan only had a single vertical slash attack. He got a whole ass combo in the English version. Combat is little more than mashing X and moving out of the way until something happens. There's no alternative options other than attack or defend, which isn't very much like other games at the time. Onimusha came out in 2001, which is the year Dark Cloud came out in the States. The dungeons are procedurally generated every floor. Outside of a few exceptions, like certain floors being dedicated to certain set pieces, you're kinda going in dark. Of course, you can get a map of the floor and a magic crystal that shows off treasure and enemy placements, but those aren't always available until the last possible room. That's not necessarily a dig on the game itself, just the way the dungeon floors generate. Hell, to even go to the next floor, you have to defeat enemies and get a certain item that allows you to progress. Are you dying and is your weapon about to break? Tough shit if you haven't found the item you need to get to the next floor. Better suck it up and head back out. Except, you need an item to escape the dungeon if all the enemies on the floor aren't defeated. Yep, you have to actively kill every enemy on the floor you're currently on to get out of the dungeon for free. You can't even go back the way you came for some reason. It's infuriating. Oh yeah, did I mention that unless you're on a set floor, the item you need to progress through the dungeon is from a monster drop? Yeah, so if you're stuck up shit creek with 5 enemies left on the floor, no healing items, no dungeon key, no weapon HP left, your best bet is to hop off your boat and into the drink. Obviously, I'm exaggerating a lot. It's really not that bad. I'm definitely not saying the game would be improved by adding in a failsafe system, quite the opposite actually. I'm of the mind that older games having friction like this and newer games being lubed up are both good things. Remember, using lube is not a cheat. When it comes to the things that I think that Dark Cloud does that make it Dark Cloud, it's 2 systems. The weapon system and the Georama system. Weapons are the most straightforward to explain. Weaponry has HP in this game. Every weapon can break and subsequently disappear. By constantly repairing the weapon, it gains its own EXP and can therefore be leveled up. The way you grow a weapon, aside from just hitting stuff with it, is by attaching augments to it that get consumed upon level up. Each weapon can only be leveled up 5 times before it turns into its synth sphere, which carries almost all of the attributes it had before then. You can then add synth spheres to other weapons, renewing the cycle and making better and better weapons until the stats max out. When certain weapons have certain stats, they can evolve into new weapons, which can then be turned into you get the idea. Let me tell you about something completely different. So it's not entirely obvious with my content output, but way back when the space show was called Under the Moonlight and my thumbnails were dogshit, I wanted to make a video about SimCity 3000. I'm not nearly qualified to do so. I think you have to have some deep unfettered love of those games on period-accurate hardware that I simply don't have. Mostly because I don't have the space or money for said period-accurate hardware. Donate to my Ko-Fi so I can have my Crisis machine, please. I find myself drawn to games that let me build towns or cities or houses and such. Cities Skylines is some of the most fun I've had in a contemporary city builder, but let's not count out some of the other type of releases. Anno 1800 is an excellent game in the genre, with fully fleshed out resource gathering, and it's a well put together package that I wish I had more time and energy to play. Casually speaking, I am a massive fan of things like Town to City, which is just so delightfully charming in its art style and gameplay loop. Creating little environments for digital people is some of the most fun I think I have ever had in a game. I have fond memories of the first time I ever lost literal hours to a gaming experience. Anyone play Roller Coaster Tycoon 2? I sure did. A lot. The point is that I really like games that let you build cities or towns or houses, and the satisfaction that I get from making people happy in one way or another. I'm probably weird in that way, but it's true. Being a fan of The Sims, I do get a sweet taste of joy whenever I fill the need of a certain sim, whatever that may be. My video on SimCity 3000 was just going to be me talking about my sick joy in creating evolving municipalities and the problems that arise in it. The needs of my brain versus what the digital little city folk want from me. Just want them to pay their goddamn taxes. I think all of these games, and many more, which I'm straining to not name, are fun times even in the modern day if they aren't games made within the past 10 years or so. Dark Cloud's Georama is all of this and more. Okay, maybe more isn't the right thing to say. White Knight Chronicles, a game I haven't played, seems to have taken Georama to a further place. I don't know, but I do know that the Georama in Dark Cloud scratches the same place that playing Kingdom Hearts does. Going into dungeons, Toan has the ability to open Atla, which are the spheres that the Fairy King whisked away everyone and everything into. This is the whole point of the game. It's going into the dungeon, leveling up your weapons, opening Atla, and rebuilding the towns that you travel to. Rebuilding the towns themselves isn't even that special. Actually, it's kinda clunky. Instead of being able to do town building from the main menu, you have to stop and enter a specific mode to do so. Said mode has a separate move and build mode, which is a pain in the ass to go back and forth from whenever you need to move things. Being on a grid is fine and dandy and all, but it does sometimes feel a bit limiting. I say that it's not special. Okay, I lied. I think it's kinda fucking awesome. Every town is different. You can't just put things down willy-nilly. You have to collect every single item from every Atla in the dungeon, so you might as well use every single one. Even the people and the stuff in their houses got turned into Atla, and you have to put together every house and just about every structure yourself. Some structures are easy, like windmills. You put the blades on, you add a ladder, and there you go! Sometimes it's not that simple. You have to slot the people in, ask them what they need, and then you'll know exactly how to rebuild their homes. I love this so much. It adds a ton of character to the world without needing to do much besides people just saying what's missing from their houses. I also think it's cool that it's diegetic that Toan doesn't know how to just put everything together in an instant. Hell, it makes more sense that he has to just ask people what they need when he's in places that aren't his hometown, so, 80% of the game. What I think really enhances this is the other thing you can do. Not required, but highly recommended. Ask the people how to rebuild their town. So there is stuff that you get out of doing this. Rebuilding No Rune perfectly has Toan getting a new charge attack, which is nice. The truth of the matter is that it's entirely optional and you're very much free to rebuild towns however the hell you want. But asking people how to build the whole town is more character that you can glean out of them. I'm not under any impression that this is high art. There's no great awards to be won, but these things are worded in a way where, at least half the time, you don't know exactly how to place things. Take Toan's mom, for example. You ask her how to rebuild No Rune, and she says that she wants the sun to come in through the window in the morning and wake her up that way. What do you have to do? track the sun in the sky to see what direction it comes up in the morning, and then go inside your house to intuit where your mom sleeps. Go back outside and figure out which window corresponds where. I mean, I'm making it sound more complicated than it really is, but it's still plenty of mental work just figuring out what people mean when they say stuff. Komacho wants an easy place to train and work out. What the fuck does that mean? It means put him by the dungeon entrance. The thing is, Macho, his older brother, when you ask him what he wants, he just says that fishing fucking rules. And I mean, yeah, it does. But putting their house by the fishing lake doesn't do anything, you know? It's this little puzzle. I don't know if I'm explaining this stuff that well, but it's kind of my everything. It's like the feeling of crafting a little town and satisfying everyone's needs. It's intimate in a way that I can't describe. It's like sitting at home with your partner and you see that they need another drink, but you're both so comfy, but you get up and do it anyway because god damn it, they need another drink. You noticed it, so fucking do it. Sometimes you don't notice. Sometimes they say something, but this time you knew what you could do to help and you did it. Am I making a shit metaphor? Mind your fucking business. So what does all this mean? I don't know, man. I just kind of wanted to talk about a game that's been on my mind recently. Maybe I needed something comfortable to talk about after my last video fucking died, LMAO. I think the best part, and maybe the most unifying part about all of the things here, is that you're required to rebuild the entire town no matter what. You don't have to do it perfectly, but you do have to collect every last piece of the town building puzzle and put things in their place, at least in the Diorama menu. Put people and their things where they belong. Where they get put down in the physical world is entirely up to you, but I think it's significant that you can't move on until the job is at least finished. It's like that thing that went around artist circles a while back. Just make it exist. You can make it good later. I'm doing that myself with my RPG Maker game, which won't be releasing anytime soon because writing and programming events is a pain in the dick. You know, I think that even games that have friction like this deserve a place in the modern era. I recognize that sure, maybe games are better when they're not grinding their teeth against you, but I kinda appreciate in this weird way that some games don't always hold your hand. Like, they gave you a whole ass manual. Remember game manuals? You had to fucking read them to get the whole experience. To put a wholesome spin on things, I don't remember too much about my childhood. Memories are hazy, stuff gets lost. I might be a bit fucked up in the head, but that's not what this channel is about, and I don't make enough money for therapy. I do know that Dark Cloud has an eternal hold on my heart as possibly the best PS2 game. The PS2 had a long lifespan, and a game coming out in America in 2001, and me playing it sometime before the PS3 came out, I don't know, maybe there's a part of me that got a hold of the game when I really needed it. I mentioned to trade a game back in the RPG Maker video, and I have a strong feeling I got the game from there. Crazy, isn't it? Maybe even now, replaying the game for myself at this point in my life, maybe I really needed something like this. I can never be sure. The only thing I'm sure of, I want to go get my partner that drink they need. I need one too. So just to lay something down that came to my mind, I don't think that Level 5 as a game studio is, like, unknown. I'm pretty sure most people who have played, like, 3 of their games know who they are. Like my RPG Maker video, a fair bit of information I got was from Wikipedia. I try to avoid websites that further research like this. I am deathly afraid of plagiarizing something on accident, so I try to get to an emotional core rather than a knowledgeable one. It's why I said, like a moron, that RPG Maker MV ran on Java and not JavaScript. I hope that everything I said about Level 5 came across as me being absolutely amazed at how much I've enjoyed their games over my 29 years of existence, rather than dropping revelations on my viewers about who they are. I don't think you guys are that easy. If you liked what you guys saw here, please consider subscribing. It's the best way to help your boy out. And it will let me know if you guys like seeing videos like this. Same with liking, commenting, and oh, are you waiting for it? The called comment action? Vault Soda. Put Vault Soda in your comment. Do it! I fucking dare you! I'm doing deep cuts to my childhood. With all of that said, my name is Sonata. Thank you for watching.